Imagine waking up one morning and deciding to walk toward a place no human you know has ever seen. No maps, no roads, no compass, not even the slightest idea of what lies beyond the horizon. Just endless forests, towering mountains, scorching deserts, and oceans that seem to stretch forever. It sounds impossible, yet somehow, ancient humans managed to spread across almost every continent on Earth. They crossed frozen wastelands, survived deadly predators, climbed mountains, and even reached distant islands thousands of years before civilization existed. So here's the question: how did they explore an entire world without ever getting completely lost? The answer is far more incredible than you might imagine. Here's the first surprise. Ancient humans weren't explorers. At least, not on purpose. They weren't searching for new continents or trying to make history. They were simply trying to survive. When food became scarce, they moved. When rivers dried up, they moved. When giant herds of animals migrated, they followed. One small journey became another, then another. Generation after generation, those tiny movements slowly turned into the greatest migration in human history. Without realizing it, they were exploring an entire planet. But if nobody knew where they were going, what guided them? Modern humans trust screens. Ancient humans trusted the earth. Every landscape carried information. A river almost always meant fresh water, fish, plants, and animals. Mountain peaks acted like giant landmarks that could be seen from miles away. The rising sun always marked one direction. The setting sun marked another, and at night, the stars became a silent guide above their heads. They didn't carry maps in their hands. They carried one inside their minds. But nature wasn't their only guide. Something else was secretly leading them. Believe it or not, some of humanity's greatest guides had 4 legs. Massive herds of mammoths, bison, deer, and wild horses traveled hundreds of miles every year searching for food. Ancient humans learned something simple. If the animals knew where survival was, follow them. Those migration routes naturally led people through forests, across valleys, over mountains, and into lands no human family had ever seen before. In many ways, animals became humanity's very first travel guides. But one event changed everything. An event that completely reshaped the planet itself. Around 20,000 years ago, Earth looked completely different. So much water was trapped inside enormous glaciers that sea levels were over 100 meters lower than they are today. Places that are now deep underwater were once dry land. One of those places connected Asia and North America. Today it's called the Bering Strait. Back then, it was a giant land bridge. Families didn't need ships. They simply kept walking, year after year, generation after generation. Without realizing it, they had crossed into an entirely different continent. But even after reaching new lands, one huge challenge remained. How could they remember the way back? Without writing, knowledge became survival. Parents taught children where rivers flooded. Elders remembered which valleys became dangerous during winter. Entire routes were passed down through stories, songs, and memory. Every successful journey became a lesson. Every mistake became a warning. For ancient humans, forgetting a route wasn't just inconvenient, it could be deadly. But eventually, they reached places where walking was no longer enough. And that's where the mystery becomes even more astonishing. Australia has puzzled scientists for decades. Even during the Ice Age, it couldn't be reached entirely on foot. At some point, ancient humans built simple rafts or boats. Think about that for a second. Imagine standing on a wooden raft, looking out at an endless ocean, with no idea whether land even existed on the other side. No rescue, no second chance, just courage and hope. That single decision proved something extraordinary. Humans were no longer just following nature. They were beginning to conquer it. Most people think humans conquered Earth because they were stronger than every other animal. They weren't. We couldn't outrun wolves. We couldn't outfight bears. We couldn't outclimb every predator. Our greatest advantage was something far more powerful: curiosity, cooperation, and the ability to share knowledge. One person discovered a safe path. The next generation improved it. The generation after that traveled even farther. For thousands of years, humanity kept moving. Not because they knew what was waiting ahead, but because they believed something better might be. Today, If you lose your phone's signal, many people don't even know which direction they're facing. Yet your ancestors crossed deserts, walked across continents, found fresh water, read the stars, and explored an entire world without a single map. Maybe the greatest navigation tool wasn't the sky, or the rivers, or even the animals. Maybe it was the human mind itself, because long before we learned how to draw maps, ancient humans had already learned something far more important. They had learned how to keep moving forward, even when they had no idea what lay beyond the horizon.